It's a pleasure to have you here once again. We start off on a rather sad note. 3 children who survived the accident between 2 commercial vehicles at SAREKYEKURA on the BUOHO Highway on Wednesday are stranded as they lost their mother in that incident. Some of the 20 persons who died are yet to be identified by their families. Here's a survivor who spoke to us.
All we could hear was a bang sound when the buses collided. We were traveling from KUMASI to Garu.
Now, was it within the same? Bueno, and then bueno, and
the mother of these 2 children has been killed. Some of us are lucky to survive.
Now, at least 14 persons are still in hospital battling for their lives. The police say preliminary investigations point to sleep driving as a cause of the tragic incident. PRO of the Savannah Region Police, ASP Owusu-Ejekum, indicates that a study of the accident scene shows that one of the drivers fell asleep behind the wheel, veering off his lane and colliding with the oncoming vehicle. He also added that with the damage caused, there was no opportunity for either driver of the vehicles to survive. And let's go live now to our correspondent, Isaac Nyonya, for more on this. Hello, Isaac. I can understand that it must be a really difficult situation as the police try to find families of the persons who perished in this accident. What's the latest with regards to those who are in hospital?
The majority of those who are yet to be identified, those still alive, are children. At the Holistic Medical Hospital, many of the children who are there were told, apart from 2 of them, whose mothers passed away, the rest, relations or mother, are yet to be identified. I will speak now. 28 out of the 45 that were sent to the Holistic Medical Center for treatment have a discharge. 1 passed on over there, 3 others to Tambale Teaching Hospital, and then according to the medical director, Dr. Evans Kura, he said some of them who sustained minor injury like cuts, fractures on them were treated, and they also opted to be referred to Bongo, Zibla, and KUMASI thereabout. So I will speak now. Those who are still on admission at the Holistic Medical Center are 28, and then while 21 are also still at BUOHO Polyclinic receiving treatment. We are told the majority of the number currently at Tambale Teaching Hospital on admission, with the 18 bodies still to be identified, while 2 others have been taken away by relations who visited identified them as their relations.
Isaac, but are you able to tell us what the mood of the town is? We understand that some of these people were traveling to Garu, and where this incident occurred is a known spot for accidents.
Yes, let me just quickly say that the chiefs of these 2 towns, we are told BUOHO, and then the sub-chiefs in KROFROM and that of Fufusu, are ready to meet with the owners of the land in Dana to see, to find out what could be the possible cause. In case there's any spiritual correlation, they should be able to work it out to save more lives. They believe that having recorded this within the space of 2 weeks, they think that there's something more to it than just an accident. But the police are also thinking that, well, when it comes to safety precautions, they think that there's more to drivers and car owners trying to do the right thing to save lives.
And apart from the spiritual link or spiritual causes that the traditional rulers are trying to attribute to the accidents that occurred there, do you get a sense from the police that there are concerns maybe about the engineering of the road or the quality of vehicles that ply the stretch?
That stretch of road is really a very busy road. When I spoke with the acting police PRO yesterday, he put it to me that it's basically a human situation, and not anything to do with the road or their vehicles. One, the owners continue to parade single drivers inside cars. Those things will continue to happen unless they work it out to ensure that we get 2 cars for each car, 2 drivers for each car. Also, the Tamale Kintapo, or you can say Tamale Bupe Highway, is a very known as the prone road, because last year, within the space of 3 months, we realized that a huge casualty in terms of deaths were recorded on that stretch of road. And getting to the end of the year, a similar thing just by the Kintapo, the Fufusu Junction, where the police who were there serving as watchdogs were taken off from the place. I will speak now. There's no any police checkpoint. When you leave the assembly hall there and move towards the junction, it's a free a free corridor. Unless you get towards after Yape, then you have the self checkpoint. From there to Tamale is a free point. I think if the police will be brought back to serve as watchdogs and to make sure that they check drivers, and drivers who know that the police are stationed at this particular spot will always slow and be alert when they're getting there.
Before I let you go, Isaac, so what is the police doing in trying to get families of the victims to identify the bodies and to also reunite these stranded children with their families?
The police say that is their main concern now. Beyond the announcement and appeal, there's nothing much they can do. The car from Kumasi to moving towards Garu, I think one of the victims who is still alive, one Madam Jamila, was able to identify 3 children and then their dead mother and then one other child that died with her. So the police has encouraged her to take possession of those children once she knows the family of the woman and move them towards. And we're also told that the other victims who are still at the Tamale Teaching Hospital also know some of the victims who are on a mission at Bupe in the Holistic Medical Hospital. So it will be on the police for to serve their own interests by trying to get the victims of these 2 areas to meet and to further identify and see how they can help to relocate them to their families.
Beyond the announcement, are they hoping to publish the images of these children, for example, to help in identifying their families?
That is an aspect the police has not made public yet.
All right. Isaac Nyonya is our Savannah region correspondent, giving us latest details on that tragic incident which occurred on Wednesday involving 2 passenger vehicles. What we know now is that at least 20 persons have been confirmed dead, and some more people are receiving treatment at various facilities where the accident occurred in that region, and also some have been taken to the Tamale Teaching Hospital. But the Building and Road Research Institute, the BRRI of the CSIR, is worried about the cost of road traffic accidents in the country. Its director, Dr. Engineer Daniel Asanso Jambimbi, says the percentage of our GDP spent on road accidents annually can be directed to preventing these accidents from even happening.
Our GDP is projected to hit $50 billion by the end of 2020. And road traffic accident cost us 1.6% of our GDP. So in terms of the numbers, we are talking about $800 million. That is the cost to our nation in terms of accident. So if we use even 25% of that, or a quarter of that, we are talking about $200 million. So if you invest $200 million in road infrastructure or measures to prevent accident, you are only using a quarter of what you would have lost. And that is not even enough for us. So that is, in terms of numbers, that is the cost to the nation, $800 million in terms of road traffic accidents, and it's huge. So if you translate this figure, this GDP in terms of the cost to our nation into figures and we can know then we know how serious and how much concern we should be in tackling road traffic accidents.
But is it not interesting that we have a number of interventions for other diseases?
Yes.
Non-communicable diseases, even with this COVID. Why are we not getting this same commitment from our policymakers?
That's interesting. As you have rightly said, road traffic accident is taking more lives than what COVID is taking. And it's a serious public health concern. So you have said it right, that we need to be even more concerned when it comes to road traffic accidents. It's probably because we don't know where COVID is coming from and that kind of thing. But once we're able to translate these figures to the policymakers, then they should be alarmed themselves, because they can also be victims just like we are having in COVID. So it's something that we have to consider seriously. We have to commit resources in making sure that we curb road traffic accidents. Probably the message has to be sounded better than we are doing now. That look, these are the figures and this is the cost to the nation, because COVID is nowhere near road traffic accidents when it comes to mortality and morbidity. Thank you.
Well, interesting comparison there to how we are handling COVID-19 as against how we are dealing with road accidents in the country. Now, talking about COVID, Ghana has recorded 9 more deaths and 777 new cases in the new data published by the Ghana Health Service for January 31, 2021. It takes the country's active cases to 5,786 and a total death toll of 433. Now, here's what's happening now. More people are dying from post-COVID complications. That's according to Medical Director of the Greater Accra Region Hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Srophenyo. Recent studies by health experts reveal some patients who recover from COVID-19 are reporting back to hospitals with complications which are suspected to have been caused by the virus, from difficulty in breathing to general fatigue and other issues. The post-COVID complications are proving to be fatal as more people are beginning to die after recovering from the virus. Listen to Dr. Srophenyo of the Ridge Hospital as he disclosed this exclusively to my colleague, Manuel Kranting.
Post-COVID complications, we call them. Oh yes, we have had several patients. You know, the interesting thing, we doctors, we say interesting, but to the patient it's not interesting. The issue about COVID is that you can get COVID, recover from COVID, but get what we call post-COVID complications because of the leftover complications that it leaves on you, like the lungs. The lungs is the first place. Sometimes you can get COVID, your test may turn negative, but you may still come back to the hospital with severe lung disease, severe respiratory complications, or severe cardiovascular complications, simply because you've had COVID in recent times. So we have seen this clearly. And there are some people who have survived the COVID, but died from complications of COVID. You know, they've survived the primary COVID disease, but they will go home or either still remain in the hospital. We've had several of such cases who have died with COVID, post-COVID lung complication or post-COVID complications. So again, this is a message to the public that for those who may have survived initially from the COVID complications, the COVID itself, they must remain in close contact with their doctors, continue to attend their medical checkups so that they can be taken through the overall space of time to be sure that they are completely fine. They should not just go back to bed too quickly or relax their guard too quickly, because they may experience some other complications which may be related to the COVID.
Let's stay at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, because doctors at the COVID-19 treatment center there are warning the case management facility may be compromised if a dedicated oxygen supply point is not provided immediately. Though the main Ridge Hospital has a dedicated oxygen plant, supply is yet to be extended to the COVID-19 treatment center. So far, 19 people have succumbed to the virus at the facility in 2021 alone. My colleague Manuel Kranting was at the hospital and reports.
A visit to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital at Ridge Wednesday morning will reveal all 16 beds at the COVID-19 ICU there are occupied. Management of the facility had in September 2020 expanded its 8-bed COVID-19 treatment center into a 16-bed ICU. According to medical director of the hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Swapenyo, this intervention has not been enough as the latest spike in the country's active cases has put pressure on the facility.
I say that we opened the new phase of the ICU around September last year, but the place has been relatively quiet. We did not have the numbers until the beginning of this year, when we begin to have very high volumes of cases. The strange thing or the interesting thing is that very critically ill patients in very high numbers. We started the place with 8-bed ICU, but we have had to expand it to 16-bed ICU currently.
With the increasing number of severe and critical cases being reported at the facility, comes a growing demand for oxygen and usage of mechanical ventilators. But delivering on this demand is being threatened by the lack of a dedicated source of oxygen to the ICU.
And as we are talking now, all these 16-bed ICU beds are occupied. And one of the critical needs of patients like this is oxygen support. So they have to depend on high volumes of oxygen. As the technical people have said earlier on, very critically ill patients need about 15 liters of oxygen a minute. So you can imagine, just every minute they need about 15 liters. So that means that in 4 minutes, they need about 16 liters of oxygen, So this is a high volume. So where we have the ICU located, it's not connected to the main block. And so we had a situation where we have to buy oxygen in big cylinders to give to them.
Lead on the COVID-19 treatment at the Ridge Hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Ahiamble, explains to me how the facility is operating under the current arrangement.
This is the manifold, where we have about 10 oxygen cylinders, which are connected to the ICU. So the way they are, when the oxygen cylinders are empty, somebody needs to come and reconnect them. So now there are 10 of them. So it runs in series. One finishes, then it moves to the other one, to the 10. When the 10 are finishing, then someone has to come and change. So that's what we are experiencing. Sometimes, like I said, there could be interruption to finish, and the person comes to change may not be there on time. So it means those who are in the ICU may not get oxygen immediately.
But as doctors here improvise to continue providing uninterrupted care to patients on admission, Dr. Swapenyo says this could portend a real danger for case management.
Normally we buy oxygen, before when we buy oxygen about 25,000, it lasted for some time, but now 2 to 3 days is finished because some of the patients have become oxygen dependent and they are consuming high volumes of oxygen. So we have gotten to a situation where we are spending a large part of our internally generated resource on purchasing this oxygen. So we've now realized that our oxygen plant, we have a plant, so the oxygen plant can be connected to the ICU block.
Manuel Cranting with that report. And if there's anything COVID has taught us, it is that we need to be there for one another. Well, listeners of the Joy FM Super Morning Show have donated dozens of personal protective equipment to some schools within Accra New Town. There's more in the following report.
The development follows appeals made by the SMS team, especially for public schools, to be supported with PPEs, as the government's promised PPEs have yet to be distributed across the board. The SMS team, represented by Enimwa Enimado and Victor Brache, went to the Accra New Town Basic 3 School, as well as the Kotobabi 3 Kindergarten, Primary and JHS, to donate the items to the students and teachers. Since the reopening of schools ordered by the president some 3 weeks ago, a major concern for parents and teachers has been the timely provision of PPEs promised by the government. Here at the Kotobabi 3 Basic School, just coming from the ANT Basic 3 School, and what we've been doing today really is giving out some sanitizers and face masks that we received from our listeners. It's interesting because both schools that we've been to have received their PPEs finally. Each child has been given 2 face masks and 2 sanitizers. Now these face masks come in sizes, and so there's different sizes for the little children and different sizes for the older ones. These, of course, have the Government of Ghana labels on them. Now, in terms of the sanitizers, the little children are having a little bit of a problem because they really want to taste the sanitizers. So the teachers are having to keep an eye on them to make sure that they don't. It looks as if the promises that the government gave out have been fulfilled in terms of giving out 2 masks and sanitizers. A lot of the schools have also received their Veronica buckets. We counted at the ANT Basic School, they've gone from having 3 Veronica buckets serving 900 children to having almost 9 buckets. And the headmistress assured us that there were many more which they were going to be bringing out soon. The headmistresses who received the items have pledged to keep the students as safe as possible. Some of them have been expressing gratitude to multimedia for the gesture. We are here at the premises of the ANT Basic 3 School, which has become a school that we've loved over the past few weeks. And so many of our listeners who have been interested in supporting these children came to us and gave us some boxes of sanitizers and some masks. So we're here to present it to the children and let them know that this is from all the Joy FM listeners who love them, who are rooting for them, and who are praying that they stay safe. So once again, thank you to everyone who's donated, and we wish you well, and thank you for taking care of our children. Thank you for helping them stay safe, and we appreciate all the work that you are doing. Thank you very much.
We are also grateful for your kind gesture, and we hope to do it the way you want it to be done, so that it will help bring up the children fruitfully. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. We are grateful too.
That's why this one then is smiles alone.
No, putting it in their mouth. A very beautiful sight there. So for all those of you watching, we are encouraging you to adopt a school, find a family that may find it difficult to provide nose masks for their children every day as they go to school, and support. Together, we can win this fight against COVID-19. I am Bernice Abubedu-Lansa. Do stay with us. When I come back, I'll be showing you that story about students of the Obuasi Senior High Technical School who've developed a touchless bin to help persons with disability and children, and also help in the prevention of the spread of COVID-19. We've got details of these shortly. Thanks so much for staying here on News Desk. Now, some residents of BUOHO Adomako in the Ifija-Kwabre South District of the Ashanti region are resisting eviction from areas marked as a buffer zone for quarrying. Hundreds of homes within 500-meter radius of the quarry are earmarked for demolition without compensation. This is because the Assembly has described the area as an illegal settlement. Hundreds of residential properties in the community are to be pulled down to make way for the mining of stones. Well, my colleague Nanaya Ojima has been following up on this, and here's his report.
Henry Dapa, a teacher, has lived in his 6-bedroom home here at BUOHO for 5 years. The house is sited about 200 meters away from the quarry. He had no building permit, but he wasn't stopped at the period of construction.
Apparently, they don't have a chief now, so it was the Busuapani who is taking care of the land and everything here. So we went to him to inquire about it, and then they sold it to us. We have the papers, everything intact.
Hundreds of houses completed and others at various stages of completion, sited within 500-meter radius of the quarry, are marked to be demolished. The property owners are served with notice to vacate their homes for the quarry to start operations. But these landlords are claiming to have legally acquired the lands.
As young as I am, if I have a single-bedroom house and the assembly wants to demolish it, then they have to demolish it with me in it.
Meje masase no meje masase a meje allocation paper me kokko de land me kwaje permit omo ka kire me say o ye nye half plot je se me nipa na obo hye no ene be ye nipa no so asa fe no to foundation
no one ever came here to stop me from building my house. Why now? They should compensate us before they pull it down.
As for me right now here, I have 6 bedrooms. So you cannot come and pull it down unless you compensate me. Even the site belongs to the government. We don't have any problem with it, unless you come and compensate us.
Custodians of the land, the BUOHO-ADDO'S too, has denied selling the land to the occupants. The family, however, believes occupants of the houses should be compensated. Opokuwari speaks for the family.
And they said they have designed a new layout. And the layout that they have designed, they have demarcated this site as a buffer zone. And it has up to 500 meters. All the structures that's within the 500 meters radius, they are going to pull it down. What right do they have to come out that they are going to pull down structures without anonymous approval? And what license or concession has the said Edu-2-man got?
The last quarry activity here was in 2006, after 3 different companies took turns to mine the site. Inactivity is clear on the machinery on the site. The assembly describes all these houses as illegal settlement since the area is buffer for the quarry. Christian Edupoku is district chief executive.
The compensation will come when the assembly, out of maybe negligence of one of his staff, might have given the person a permit. Then genuinely, we, the assembly, must pay for the cost of that person's building. Other than that, anybody who is sitting there without permit, he must lose whatever he has over there. And they build in the night.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Now, away from that, Member of Parliament's Appointments Committee and MP for Boko Central, Mahama Yariga, says the NDC caucus on the Appointments Committee will not witch hunt any of AKUFO-ADDO'S nominees when voting commences, as has been speculated. He was speaking on PM Express with Aisha Ibrahim.
At the end of the day, it will be a question of evidence, because the committee, we sitting there, it is live on national television.
Definitely.
Everybody's watching us. And it is one sure accountability mechanism, the fact that everybody's watching us. We want to strive to do the right thing and be fair to everybody.
Yeah.
And so the key issue is we will ask all the questions that need to be asked. That we will ask.
Okay.
you'll be given the opportunity to answer those questions. The next criteria then is political. Both your work, and then your disposition and how you carry yourself and how members of the committee feel about you and what you say and how you manage their perceptions when you appear.
Mr. Ayariga has meanwhile warned members of parliament not to put themselves in any compromising situation by encouraging bribes from the appointees. You may recall that he alleged some 4 years ago that one of President AKUFO-ADDO'S nominees had offered bribes, but a 5-member committee set up to investigate that issue found that nothing of the sort had happened. Mr. Ayariga says anyone who attempts to offer bribe or encourages appointees to give bribes does that at his or her own peril.
Well, I mean, because of the...
Briefly, we're running...
Yes, yeah, I mean, there are all sort of rumors and allegations flying in social media about people allegedly being improperly influenced and etc. But at this stage, I think they are merely allegations. One thing you should know is that...
But sincerely, as a member of parliament, do you think that is something that can happen?
In people's desperation, they may make an effort to reach out, and some of the efforts may be improper. It's up to you as a member of parliament to decide how you react to an improper approach. But I can say with certainty that nobody has improperly approached me. I think that the nominees are entitled to approach you as a member of the panel or of the committee to try and make a case why you should support their nominations. I think this is normal. The same way they can approach the leadership of a caucus to urge them to try and then convince their caucus to support
with money?
Not with money. They can just approach him to make a case. It's called lobbying. You get the point.
Yeah.
They can do that, not with money, not with any inducements. If they attempt to do so with money, that was clearly improper, and I'm sure that the alarm will be raised. But
since the beginning of the week, around this time, you'd expect to see the Supreme Court hearing, but the court is on a break and will resume tomorrow, Friday the 5th. Well, MP for 2nd D, Andrew Ejapa-Mensah, has described that petition hearing as, quote, complete waste of everybody's time, end quote. Speaking to Mama Viewusu on the AM show, Mr. Mensah argued the petition is misconceived and has no basis in law.
This entire petition is a complete waste of everybody's time. It won't go anywhere. The evidence, pleadings, and the evidence that has been alluded so far before the court, that every observer, is taking notice of, clearly points to a petition that is misconceived, that has no basis whatsoever in law and in fact. And my expectation is that it's not going to stand.
If you look at the issues that has been set, if the petition had no basis, you don't think the panel would have dismissed it a long time ago?
Not at all, because it's a constitutional matter, and the practice of the courts, and by the courts I mean the Supreme Court, is to, regardless of the legal objections that have been raised, bear in mind that the respondents have raised a preliminary legal objection. The court proceeds to hear the matter in its entirety and provide its ruling, including a ruling on the preliminary legal objection at the time of delivering the judgment. So let nobody be deceived that by reason of the fact that the court has not dealt with the preliminary objection, that then suggests that they are in agreement that the petition has some basis. They just want to listen to both sides.
So why would the court waste its time and listen to both sides and go through all this long-winding?
That the practice of the Supreme Court, that in constitutional matters, and this is not the first time, there are plethora of authorities that confirm the Supreme Court's decision to the effect that when a matter borders on some aspect of the Constitution, then we will hear all parties and then provide a comprehensive ruling. Bear in mind that the decision of the Supreme Court, okay, binds all lower courts as well. And so there may be some questions of law and fact that may come up that would provide some authoritative basis for future adjudication of disputes in this country.
You're watching News Desk with me, Bernice Abubedulansa. Coming up shortly, we've got business news for you. Do stay.
Hello there, it's time for business. I'm Charles Aitim. Now, stalled for 12 years, city authorities are breathing life into the KROFROM market, a suburb of Kumasi. This is because government and Asantehene have facilitated a loan agreement of 81 million cedis to complete the market. Authorities say the project is scheduled for completion in 9 months' time. Traders who were relocated during the start of market reconstruction are happy with Otumfo's involvement. Prince Apia has been speaking to stakeholders and has filed this report.
This is the current state of the KROFROM Market Annex, created after traders were relocated for the reconstruction of the main market. Parts of the roofing of this makeshift structure are falling off after many years of neglect. Traders are unhappy with its state.
The market has delayed for too long. Now robbers have taken over the place.
Just behind it is the stalled market project. Residents and some traders here have complained about the delayed construction.
Criminals have captured the market, and some customers feel so afraid to come to the market to buy our goods.
People were here, but due to the distraction of the market, and they went to far away. So when it is already new, and then I hope all of them they will come back after you complete it and legalize it as a market. I think that some of us will get direct employment and indirect employment.
This crane behind me has been offloading concrete blocks since morning here at the KROFROM market. This market started in 2008 under the AKUFO administration, has stalled for the past 12 years for various reasons. Today, both the Asantehene and government have decided to put life back into the KROFROM market. Kwame is laying a set of concrete blocks to demarcate the individual stalls. He is one of the few masons who have started working on the reconstruction. Nana Ajenim Boateng is vice chairperson for Kumasi City Market Project.
A project of 9638208 is now 80 million. And that's why we thought that debt equity was just too much. So His Majesty discussed with His Excellency. It cascaded to the Ministry of Finance and local government. And then the two of us decided to come together. His Majesty has made me to get a list of those who in 2009 were here, publish the list, let them see and have the faith and confidence that in the next 3 to 6 months, the project will be completed.
Nana Ajenim Boateng says more than 3,000 stalls will be done in the first phase.
We've divided into 4 tranches. At every phase, we will sign a certificate of completion and then continue. So the first phase will be 4 contractors, each on a 576 lot, which will give us 2,304 stalls. Then we'll move to the second phase, which will be the asphalting and the completion of the 278 shops and its complete accessories.
KROFROM Market Queen AKUFO-ADDO'S is excited with the intervention by Mbinshia.
She says, we look forward to transparency from our leaders. All names should be included to ensure equity.
When completed, it is expected to create a lot of economic opportunities for traders and residents here in KROFROM and its surrounding communities. Prince Apia reporting.
Now, UK companies are threatening to reject imports from Ghana as the country and Britain fail to reach a trade agreement. Post-Brexit, UK companies are threatening to reject imports from the country as, of course, Ghana and Britain failed to reach a trade agreement post-Brexit. Now, so far, banana farmers have already lost 20% of their exports to the UK and could lose about 70% export by next year. The three leading banana exporters, Golden Exotics, Rotor River Estates, as well as Blue Skies, have all indicated that this could cause massive layoffs.
The question is, how is this affecting your business?
So, this obviously is not sustainable. Our buyer is getting extremely concerned that if this problem is not resolved very quickly, from next week he intends to divert a large portion of our supply to another country who already have been able to secure an agreement with the UK. So that would mean that we'll lose a substantial part of our business.
In percentage term, that's about?
From what he is saying, so far he's only threatening to take 30%, but that can quickly translate into larger volumes. And about 50% of our total production goes to the UK. So that's a significant part of our business. The problem is that if they become comfortable with this new source, chances are that they may not come back, even when the situation is resolved.
Well, the three companies together employ 5,000 workers directly and about 25,000 workers indirectly. That's how we end business in this segment.
Thanks for staying on News Desk. Just gone by, you heard Charles Aite with business news. Before I bring you sports, let's bring you our Tech Thursday story. Waste bins are placed at vantage points in communities to prevent littering. Though there have been several innovations to waste bins, persons with disabilities and children sometimes find them inaccessible. In an era where bins have become integral in the fight against the spread of COVID-19, students of Obuasi Senior High Technical School have designed a touchless bin to tackle the situation. There's more in the following report.
We came out with this automatic dustbin, which disables children, especially disabled. When you wash your hands and get close to it, it automatically opens for you to put whatever you want to put in the dustbin. And someone will ask, what are the components or the parts in this dustbin? We use an ultrasonic sensor, which is waterproof, and also the Arduino board, and we have a motor driver here inside.
This can be used in offices, schools, hospitals, banks, etc.
The team hinted of plans to add a solar panel to the bin to make it accessible to people living in communities without electricity. The team of teachers led by Solomon Nko says the project needs more funding to begin commercial production.
We've also have in mind to make it in sizes so that people who want to buy them, they can buy. And then also we are also throwing this to the general public, that anybody who can come to support us, we will try to make them as many as we can to let the general public have them.
Headmaster of the school, Ernest Riafe, is confident the Robotics Club will come up with more innovations.
And I hope and believe that that is not going to be the end. We expect quite a lot from this team. As we know, necessity is a matter of invention. So as we progress in life and we face challenges, I believe our team will come up with much more of such inventions and technology, if you like.
Unlike other dustbins, the touchless bin by the Obuasi Sectech Robotic Club is disabled and child-friendly, and you can be assured COVID-19 is well covered.
Anita Jages report for JoyNews.